Spivey. Yeah, man.
Guy's a nut, man. Going right for his trunk. Almost ran me off the road. He's in South Lake right now. I can't tell what kind of car it is. It's like a GM car. They were coming from behind this way. I don't know how I got out of that. He went right for his trunk though when I was gonna get his license plate. But he's mad. I don't know what he's doing. He was going really quick. He came over on this side of me this way, forced me to the side, but he looks like he's jacked up on something big time. Anyway, the time is 3:14. So I know they have a camera, but very out of control. See what he does right here. There he goes. You can see the vehicle right there crossing right now. Big time problem right there. So what he did was he got out of his car right there in the middle of traffic and went right to his trunk. I don't know if he was checking on sometimes I've done that like on delivery. But the problem was he was going like very, 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 very quick. And then he came like in front this way and then straightened back out this way. So I had to go to this direction and there was another car stopping. Luckily, because of the timing, because I've read about some of these things, these insurance things. That's probably what that was. Because they can come in like really quick, ram you over to this side. They got the other guy right in front of you, or you're going this way. The other guy's slowing down right over here. It's an insurance scam. Then you have to slam on your brakes, and if you hit them, then you're responsible. I've seen this. I've seen it on television. There's been some stuff about it. But he got out of his car and went right around to his trunk immediately, and then went back into his car. So I don't know. I would say insurance scam is what's going on with that one. You like go into a bathroom and the light, it's like a drunk light for the water. So it's just like a regular light.
It's just regular water.
Well, it's filtered, right?
I believe it's like bottled, so yeah.
Like a bottled filter. Oh, y'all even have tea in Keurig. That's pretty. So they have like tea, all different types of coffee, breakfast blend. I don't know. I've heard good and bad things about the Keurig. I've heard that sometimes it's good, and then I don't know. I worked at a bank, and the one we had was always breaking. So it's clean water, and it has a little filter light on it, and it's an urgent care place. I'm always either giving them a pizza or some Chinese food or something. I don't know. Sometimes cold food. But they have those Keurig things. Especially those are real reliable, like coffee. They do even do tea and stuff like that. That's what we're having. It's not necessarily caffeinated, but right now it's just straight up water, you know? I heard a rumor there was a verse that Jesus got mad about that. He's like, why are y'all just sitting around drinking water? He's that kind of guy. I don't know if that verse is valid, but the Baptists were definitely the ones that were doing it. We're like, well, we're Baptists. We just drink water. We're real uptight about stuff. It's like, oh yeah, John the Baptist guy, he's like one of my cousins. What's up with him? At times when I think of the Baptist, I hate to bring Martin Scorsese in it, in The Last Temptation of Christ, but John the Baptist was like a wild, almost like caveman, wearing like caveman clothing that was, and he was like kind of wild and passionate, and he was preparing ye a way of the Lord. He was like very passionate, And so there was like all these Baptists like kind of following John the Baptist, and they were constantly maybe purifying themselves with water. And it was like they were in the rivers of Jordan, like almost, I don't want to say bathing, but like dipping themselves in and cleansing themselves and preparing the way of the Lord. And it was a primal thing almost, like a spiritual dance that was going on. And you see it in Last Temptation. I was one of the Baptists that actually went out and saw it, even though everyone condemned it. And the book was condemned. I read the book several times. Usually I would read it when I was on a plane. That's a true story. I would read it when I would fly. I would read it while I was flying in the air, on a plane. But, I don't own that book anymore. I gave it up before I got baptized. I actually got rid of the book, that book. My grandma told me too. It took me a long time before I did. A writer friend had given it to me as a present, had gotten rid of Last Temptation of Christ. I threw it away in this dumpster in a kind of a place. I only kept the front page because he left me a message. I kept the front page with that message. I don't even know if I still have that message. I might still have it. It was like this is a gift for your graduation. He was brought up by the Catholic, and I'm sitting there looking at this book that's condemned by the Protestant, going, oh dear. And then my grandma confronting me, this is the Mimar grandma I was talking about, and telling me, what are you doing with this book? This book is condemned, and the movie's condemned too. This is horrible. You need to give it up. But he was a friend, and he was a friend of mine. So I'm so sure. The guy's about to stop right up here. So he wants to, okay, it turned green. Okay, that's fine. But he was a friend, and a friend gives you a gift. What are you supposed to do? Throw it away? Which I eventually did. But it doesn't mean I threw away all the gifts that he gave me. He was a playwright friend. And so I took the first page, tore it out, took the book, and threw it away. And then shortly after that, I was baptized. And then shortly after that, I had thrown away a lot of my Scorsese movies and things like that. And shortly after that, I became a father. So I was throwing away childish things that I thought were not important. And I think some of that stuff does have some biblical, there's some violence in biblical talk, or biblical verses, or biblical stories in the Bible. There's some violence, especially with John the Baptist. But I had to find a moment in my time to say, okay, I'm going to put away acting. I'm going to put away YouTube. I'm going to put away these things. This is something I said to myself. And so I didn't do really any YouTube, stayed away from really everything. Maybe Facebook. I did make posts of my children and my wife. It was advertised on Facebook. It was put on Facebook, that marriage and a lot of it, and the honeymoon photo, not all of them, but some of the places that we went ended up on Facebook. But why I returned, and then all of a sudden my family, I go, I don't understand, but I do appreciate his gift, but I did throw it away, but I do remember it. Boy, I just asked questions about pricing and stuff. Man, she was snooty. The nurse in there is like, I asked if I could buy that water machine. I was just joking around. I said, I'll give you $40 for it. She was like, no, not gonna do that. She was probably busy. She's kind of nervous. Anyway, that's actually an urgent care. You pay $100 and they'll just see you, if you have a problem. Way less than the ER. Freaking ER is like $40,000. So I'm in the Carroll, Southlake area. The influence is important. You want to be under the right influence. Alcoholism is not the correct influence. It's the incorrect influence. It's all about being under the influence of sobriety, but that leads to the influence of God so that God can work through you. This is how families regain and how families reunite, because they put themselves under the correct influence, which is sobriety and God. I appreciate it. So I'm here outside of Southlake, Schlotsky's. It's like early May-ish kind of thing. I think it is probably going to be the best. I'm putting them down as the best when it comes down to sandwiches. Although Jersey Mike's is 1956, I just think overall the bread is just really great at Schlotsky's if you ever had it. Here's one of them. It's right here in Southlake. I don't know. Yeah, they're going to be the best. Overall, I'm just saying sandwiches. I've been thinking about that lately. I'm probably going to say we're going to go with Schlotsky's for right now. And they had that little O in the middle of the thing right there. Little Schlotsky's. Well, they sometimes make it red. But I don't know. Just something about them. They're maximum delicious, I guess you could say. The maximum sandwich. Water is not always completely one way. Water is malleable, so it can change and become different things. So it changes and can adapt. Different emotions, different levels. Water can freeze, it can boil, it can turn to steam. Water can do all these different things. This guy's like kind of buff dude, kind of walking around. Yeah, it looks like maybe hang out with Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. Anyway, we're gonna drop off this one. I just thought that would look really cool. Well, we're back on Random Mill. I'm like, I feel like I'm back in the Chekhov play. But this is the house that I was raised in up here in the corner. I'll point it out to you in just a minute. There was the neighbor, which is a beekeeper, and he had a tragic end. I don't want to get into his end, and I'll talk about it later. That's part of the house there. It's not the full house. But that's the one right there. It was this one right here, right off Randall Mill. That was the house I was raised in right there. Lots of ivy right there. You can't really see it. That's the backyard part. That's part of it. There's a pond. You can see well, you can't see the pond either. You might can right there though. No, can't. But anyway, we might be able to revisit. But there's a pond in the backyard with a gazebo. My dad actually built that gazebo. Well, he built the whole house. My dad built the whole house and the whole land. And he didn't build the land, but he built the house on the land. And then dug a hole in the ground for the pond and then the gazebo. Our pond was pretty good, but it was a lot of snakes, a lot of fish. Our neighbor's pond was the one we could swim in because it was covered by more trees. Our pond was mostly open. It was good for catfish stock, so it was good for fishing. Now we have quite the classic Chevrolet truck right here. Just kind of see the guy kind of touching the gun or making sure the gun is secure, you know, which I guess is pretty much like maybe perfectly legal. I don't know. It's kind of opening the window there. I don't know the exact reason why, but kind of creepy a little bit. But it's like a Chevrolet. I guess maybe the air conditioning wasn't flowing through the car very well, but they're out to hunt squirrels. Even though you probably had watched my older vlogs, it's always the case. Adamthewoo is with Natalie, West Coast Adventure, watching the Angels and Tampa Bay as of yesterday, because you can't see the date here, but today is the next day of that day. Really, to be honest, I would probably guess today is, I'm gonna guess May 12th and see if I'm right. Okay, I was right, May 12th. I'm trying to keep my hands out of the shot because I was listening to this commentary speaker about Shakespeare, and he was like, you know, speak the speech I pray thee, blah, 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 as I triply on my tongue. Don't saw the air. So, anyway, so he's leaving California, and he's already gone, like, up north or northeast. So he got as far as like Nebraska, maybe way up there, probably like Seattle, basically almost Canada. Now he could cut across, and I mean even head to Maine, which I know he was going to be gone for 60 days. So if it's the end of his West Coast, and let's say he goes back down through the South, or hits, or another one, I think maybe, I don't know if he went to Chicago yet, but he could do the Santa Monica Route 66 all the way, of course, to Chicago, where it ends, the Route 66 or Route 66. Probably, and then I'm guessing maybe he could go either straight down Missouri, hit Texas, or he could go even further, maybe hit New York, and then go all the way down the East Coast from New York, maybe into Chicago. Don't know for sure if he's passed through Texas. I'd have to go back and look through the vlogs. I know he has gone through the South, like Alabama, because he hung out with Bama Mike. But if he certainly comes through Texas, if he makes, let's say if he doesn't do Route 66 and goes down straight south back to Florida, and then maybe goes up the northeast back to maybe to New York, and then comes back to Florida, don't really know. But if he does somehow come into Texas, especially North Texas, I know a lot of times he goes to San Antonio, and that's not North Texas. But if he does, I have no problem being a guide for a little while, showing him maybe some cool Fort Worth venues, maybe some punk rock venues in Fort Worth. There's, of course, a lot of theaters and things like that. I got to make this exit right here. It just depends, really. Texas is so massive, you know. There's like, Marfa, Texas is like 6 hours away. I'd have to plan that, put money aside, all kinds of stuff, you know. I don't really know, you know, Marfa, probably panhandle stuff. Maybe I know Tom Green kind of got lost in Texas a little bit, did some panhandle stuff. So it's hard to really predict if he's going to go like right through North Texas by NASCAR, which is, you know, Texas Motor Speedway area. But if he certainly does, I know some cool kind of stuff, you know. They do have some fairs and stuff that are going on presently, but we'd have to see. And, you know, this isn't going to come out until way later. I've got a lot of backup vlog, and I usually don't get rid of really anything. I find no real reason to do any, like, major editing. At least I do some funny stuff, or I do some, like, tricky editing, or at least I do some, like, you know, some iMovie sound effects and things. I may throw that, okay, get the hand out of the shot again. I may throw that out every once in a while, but I try to keep everything, because really, I don't really see any reason to really cut a lot of stuff. Ooh, look at the moon right here. It's almost kind of like a full moon, but there's some gibbous in it, or gibbous, you know? So it's not necessarily a full moon, but it's called a gibbous. Whether it's past the first quarter or third quarter, it's going into a moon. You can always tell if it's like this or like that. So I think it's probably in the first quarter. I don't know for sure. Maybe leave a comment. Yeah, sorry, I messed up. I was saying that Adamthewoo went to northwest. So he started off going into Nebraska, northwest, all the way to Seattle is where he was headed to. But he did go to the south through Alabama and things like that. I know for sure. I probably went through Georgia. I don't know. He may have gone through Texas. Usually, if he does, he'll go get a Buc-ee's. But I know a good Buc-ee's, Texas Motor Speedway. Also, there's a decent one in Denton. But there's all Buc-ee's all over the place and stuff like that. And they've got some good stuff. So if you get this in time, which you probably may or may not, Buc-ee's would probably be a pretty good place to, you know, meet up. And I don't know, just tear up Buc-ee's. But no poop on the shoe. I respect my Buc-ee's. Over now. Okay, this is kind of cool. It's like, I don't know what it is, but it's definitely different. It looks like, I can barely read that. I'm not like the best with cars, but it's definitely a classic. The symbols are tough too. I tried to sell cars for a while. There's a symbol on the back, so you can identify it through the symbol. Definitely a classic. Yeah, I couldn't even read the script on that, on what kind of car that was. I gotta drop off this food. Okay, this is basically Argyle, and this is also kind of, I remember this pizza place over here. I wrote a poem over there about that pizza place. I sent it up to my place where I send poems. But anyway, regardless, this is also kind of the werewolf kind of feel. Maybe there could be something with train tracks with the werewolf, but this is also the werewolf script kind of thing too, because I was thinking about a werewolf movie. You know, I'm thinking about finishing writing one, which was originally called Grace, and now I changed it to Were Vlog, as in Were V-L-O-G, Were Vlog. Ducks and geese and chicks kind of scurry when I go right out in the scurry, when I go out in with the fringe on top.
YouTube, Spivey. Yeah, man.